In order to play a game, you have to understand the rules. Because if you don't understand the rules, then you can fall foul of them and then be kicked off the game. The trouble is, what do you do when the rules are being made up in real time and you can't find out what those rules are? You don't know. You live in a strange world where you're playing a game, but you don't know what the rules to that game is. So therefore, you don't know when you are or aren't falling foul of them. Now, this is in reference to I would say, the most important interview that I've heard to date in terms of our freedoms and everything else. And I would say actually more important than the Tucker Carlson Putin interview that we had just like last week or whenever it was. Because this interview between Tucker Carlson and Mike Benz it basically within that 1 hour, he does a fantastic job of unraveling exactly what went on during not just the life of the internet, but the actual, what we live in today, which is a censored internet, where your democratic right have been taken away to say what you feel and say what you want, and let sort of, the people on the internet make up their minds. And he goes into great detail, Mike Benz, of exactly what goes on. Absolutely mind-blowing. If you haven't watched it, you must watch it. It's on Tucker Carlson's channel on Rumble. It's probably on X as well, or it might be shared from Rumble to X. And basically, what I took from the interview, to make this a very short video, what I took from the interview, if I had to really like bullet point it down, I would say that the internet was invented and used as a free tool for everybody to use at their own will, as a tool by intelligence services and the US government to fight a new war. So gone are the days when you fire a bullet. Well, it's not gone are the days you fire a bullet, but it was to put the kinetic side of warfare behind us and go into the information war. And basically it was great because it was used by Western governments to control the speech, to sort of push and promote things in other countries that would topple whole governments. So when whole governments were toppled, and like with, say for instance, the Arab Spring was born by social media and people being able to share ideas. And obviously intelligence services would love that because they can feed little things out there and connect to people and let that grow until it actually topples a whole country. And what basically there was a point in history in 2014 when that started to get flipped. And what happened was that there was a coup in 2014 against Russia, and the information from it didn't need to make it out there. It would have like the information from the results of all that, if it would have made it out there, could have undermined the West itself, or even just put its goals on a back burner. Because the thing is, see, up to then, the West had always had its own way. The internet was great for being used as a tool against other countries or against themselves or whatever, because they were in control of it. But there was a point where it started to get out of control. And then in 2016, when we had here in the UK, when we had the Brexit vote, and in America, when they had when Trump made it into power, that really kicked it into overdrive then, where they all looked around at each other and decided, right, we need to start censoring any speech because this isn't going the way that we expected it to go in order for us to remain in power. Skip that on 4 years to the 2020 election, and of course COVID itself. And then suddenly you've got this situation where once again this guy is up for election, and anybody who questioned whether or not Joe Biden got 80 million votes, the most votes in any president in history, for a guy who clearly, and we all called it out at the time, had dementia and God knows what else. I mean, this video is never going to make it anywhere, but with all these trigger words in it for the censorship, ironically. You know, what Joe Biden getting 80 million votes just didn't happen. You knew it didn't. People were caught stuffing the ballot boxes. You could see it, and the videos were being taken down, and people were caught pulling up in cars at 3 a.m. and shoving handfuls of paper into these ballot boxes that existed on the side of the road, like post boxes in a way, setting them on fire in certain areas, you know, that were probably didn't contain the votes that they wanted it to contain. And so on. We all saw, well, those of us who were watching for it all, we saw that. And then obviously then at the same time, COVID come along and the restrictions were really needed. Now, the way they manipulated the public was by censorship. So, you know, the censorship created the mind control of the general population and sent people into psychosis because the truth, you know, or we couldn't just speak openly about anything. So suddenly we all had to just do what we were told because we didn't really know what the truth was. It was a very strange time to live in, you know, that we sort of knew. We knew, right? You know, we didn't expect what we expected, but we knew that it wasn't in our favor straight away. Anyway, so yeah, and you go on through to today, and what you've got now is the fact that the biggest thing I took from the interview was that the public are no longer, the public vote is no longer considered democratic by their new rules that they've written. Basically, the new rules that they've written says that when they stand up on TV and they say threat to democracy, what they actually mean is that they've changed the rules so that democracy itself, they hold it. So it's the institutions that are actually the democratic system itself. You're not democracy by going out and voting and actually putting your vote in the ballot box and having it counted and having your freedom of speech and everything else. They don't consider that to be democracy. What they consider to be democracy is themselves, their institutions, and they've set it up that way. And it was all done, and there's so many things in it, I couldn't even pull it apart. But basically, to put it in a nutshell, they needed to be able to throw around the idea that Trump was in collusion with Russia, and that's how he won the 2016 election, and that somehow, you know, that was a threat to national security. And that give them the rights then legally to be able to do or so they thought, you know, is all going to unravel. But that give them those rights then to go and spy and do all the things that they did and all the censorship. And of course that backfired then when they had the hearing in 2019 and the Russia collusion thing all fell to pieces, like on the stand. And after that happened, after the you know, all that collusion hysteria that everybody, you know, all the normies believed, but we sort of knew where they were just doing it for some ulterior motive. After that fell apart, you know, the rules were already in place. The institutions have already been changed. The definitions of meanings of democracy and words and censorship, a bit like what happened after 9/11. You know, it just the new freedoms have been taken. You know, for those of you who are young who are watching this. The freedoms that you just lost in 2020 that you can clearly remember you had before, that was like what we experienced in 2001 when the World Trade Centers were taken down. It was the same feeling. It was like this is a completely different world. Of course, we're going back there, but the trouble is it's going to be a tough year. There's 65 general elections around the world this year, and you just know the censorship is going to be off the scale. Everything's going to be off the scale. So, you know, it's up to us now. We're sort of understanding the rules of the game, or even though it changes all the time, you can see what's behind it. And you know what they say, when you always fear what you don't understand. As soon as you understand what's going on, you get this sense that you can in some way fight it, in some way overcome it. You know what you're looking at. You know, when you've got no target, who you hitting? It's like having a sniper around you and you just don't know when you're going to get picked off. And then one day you spot the sniper on top of a wall somewhere and you've got a long range rifle that can reach him. It's like, right now I got you in my sights. I'm going to take you out now. It's your turn. And that's exactly where we are now. So yeah, I thought I'd make this quick video just to cover that, and I'll Speak to you all tomorrow. Bye.